Alright. Hey there, I'm Nick, doing my new student dialogue video right now. So for my new student dialogue, I went to the poverty simulation. It was about people that live at the poverty line, so they weren't completely in poverty, but they were right at the poverty line, just barely making a living. Um, and it was interesting. I had, or the person I was simulating was this one lady, I was a girl, of course. And she had two kids. One of them had dropped out, was only 17, and then the other was 14 years old and was borderline dropping out as well. I had no money to my name. My husband had left me with $10, so I had absolutely no money, and it sucked. That whole the whole simulation was terrible. I was going from place to place trying to scrounge up as much money as I could. And then in the very end, paid every single bill except the housing bill. And that was kind of a bogus deal. So I'd gone to social services during week 2 of the simulation, as every week was 15 minutes and the simulation went for an hour. And I'd gone to social services and they'd given me a housing voucher to help me pay for my housing. In week 2, and I'd held on to that until I had all the money to pay the housing. And so when I went during week 4 to go pay the housing voucher apparently wasn't any good anymore. Like, they would only take the housing vouchers up till week 2. So I kind of got screwed there. The social services person didn't tell me at all that it had to be used in week 2. So I got completely screwed there, and that screwed me over because then I didn't have enough money and enough time to make up that remaining $250 out of the $300 housing bill. Let's see, what else? What surprised me was just how difficult it was to just make the money and get the vouchers and get help. There's so many different little services, like the Community Action Center, interfaith services, social services. There were plenty of places to help. It was just barely any of them gave you any help at all. And I had stuff that I could sell to the pawn shop, but they weren't any help at all. Because probably like early into week 2, they weren't buying anything anymore. So I was just holding on to stuff that I could use to pay the housing bill, but wasn't doing me any good. See, my interaction with other participants in the simulation, I had 2 other people in my family. One of them was my son that had dropped out, and then the other was my daughter who was still in school. So they were off doing their respective stuff. My son, who had dropped out, had gotten a job at the factory, and he was probably the most help to helping me pay the bills, while I was constantly running around from place to place trying to get as much free help as we could with like food vouchers and whatnot. Other than that, the only other really interaction I had with other participants was just the people at each station, like the food mart and the factory and social services, just trying to get help or get money or anything, and that was really it. Let's see, what stands out to you the most about this experience? Probably the one thing that stood out to me about this experience was just how much it sucked to be the person I was simulating. I got help, but probably the only way that I even got close to paying all the bills was just getting a job. Because other than that, I was not getting nearly enough help to help me get through. So it would have been very difficult to actually have been this person in real life and try to live that through. That just would have been terrible. And if I had been this person in real life, I definitely would have tried to cut down, like get a very small apartment in a very low cost area. Yeah, it was tough. Let's see, how has this experience impacted you now? Probably this experience just impacted me by just make me thankful for all the gifts that I have and how I'm blessed to be here at Clemson and have a lot of money in my life. Have a lot of privileges. Very privileged, very privileged to be here. Get to go to football games every week, classes, got food in my belly, all that good stuff. So that's pretty much it. Talked for my 5 minutes. Probably more of a waste of time than it should have been, but it's all good. Got a good experience out of it, and now to move on to the stuff that really matters, the actual academic classes.